Chapter 1 Generations of Computers. Hi friends, it's me, Pendy, your tech friend. In this lesson, we are going to learn about different generations of computer. Many scientists have developed the computers we see today. The history of the computer comprises a gradual development from simple abacus to the modern computers we use today. Charles Babbage, a British scientist, made the first mechanical general-purpose computer in 1837. It was a mechanical computer which could perform extensive calculations. Since then, many people have contributed to the improvement of computers. The development in technology determines growth in the computer industries. As a result, computers became much smaller, cheaper, more powerful and more efficient. Development of computers can be divided into different generations based on the progress in technology. Let us discuss these generations. First generation computers, 1940 to 1956. The period of the first generation was 1940 to 1956. Vacuum tubes were used as the basic component for memory and circuitry for the central processing unit. A vacuum tube is a delicate glass device that can control and amplify electronic signals. Inputs in such computers are provided in the form of punched cards and paper tapes. The first generation computers were the fastest calculating devices of their time. EDVAC, Mark I, ENIAC, EDSAC, and UNIACs were some computers of the first generation. Disadvantages of the first generation computers. They were quite large and could not be moved from one place to another. Their speed was quite low and electricity consumption was very high. Thousands of vacuum tubes were used in the computer which emitted a lot of heat and the tubes burnt out frequently. They were very costly and required constant maintenance. Second generation computers, 1956 to 1963. The period of the second generation was 1956 to 1963. These computers were developed using transistors as their circuitry. Transistors were cheaper, smaller and faster as compared to vacuum tubes. The second generation computers were smaller in size and could be moved from one location to another. They generated less heat and maintenance was also easier. Their operating speed was comparatively higher than the first generation computers. High-level programming languages like COBOL and BASIC were developed in this generation. IBM 7094 and CDC 3600 were some computers of the second generation. Disadvantages of the second generation computers. They required constant air conditioning, like the first generation computers. Production was complicated and expensive. Third generation computers, 1964 to 1971. The period of the third generation was 1964 to 1971. These computers were developed using integrated circuits, ICs. An integrated circuit is a collection of transistors on a single chip. Instead of punched cards, keyboards were used to input data. Monitors were used for the first time as an output device instead of printouts. IBM 360 and PDP-8 were some computers of the third generation. Features of third generation computers. These computers were smaller in size and generated a lesser amount of heat. They were faster and more accurate as compared to second generation computers. They used an operating system that allowed the running of many different programs simultaneously. They could be carried from one place to another easily. Also, these computers were less costly. Fourth generation computers, 1971 onwards. The period of the fourth generation was 1971 onwards. These computers were developed using very large-scale integrated circuits, VLSI circuits. VLSI circuits have millions of transistors on a single chip. This chip is known as a microprocessor, which is made of silicon. It is capable of processing information received from all parts of a computer. It is also called the Central Processing Unit or CPU. All modern-day PCs belong to the fourth generation of computers. The use of internet, mouse, and many other handheld devices are some advancements seen in this generation. IBM introduced its first computer for the home user in 1981 and Apple introduced Macintosh in 1984. Features of fourth generation computers. Computers became more advanced in terms of processing and memory capacities. It led to the development of personal computers, PCs. These computers can be carried from one place to another owing to their compact size. They are much more accurate. Commercial production of these computers is easy. They are inexpensive compared to the earlier generation of computers. Fifth generation computers, current and future. The period of fifth generation was 1991 to date. These computers use ultra-large-scale integrated circuits, ULSI circuits. This generation marks the beginning to use artificial intelligence, AI, which enables the computers to perform tasks which typically require human intelligence. AI can also help the computers to analyze problems and situations on their own, as like making the computers think logically like a human. The use of a parallel processing and superconductor technology together is helping to make artificial intelligence a reality. Robots are the best examples of artificial intelligence. Comparison of generations of computer. The generations of computer can be compared in the following way. Generations of computer. Features: first generation 1940 to 1956, second generation 1956 to 1963, third generation 1964 to 1971, fourth generation 1971 onwards, fifth generation, current and future. Processor, vacuum tubes, transistors, integrated circuits, ICs, microprocessor. Input, punched cards, keyboard, mouse. Output, printer, monitor, printer. Memory, magnetic drums, magnetic disks. Size, very huge, smaller than first generation, smaller than previous generations, smaller than all previous generations, Speed, slow, faster than first generation, faster than previous generations, faster than all previous generations, Cost, very high, less than first generation, less than previous generations, less than all previous generations, Example, ENIAC and Mark I, IBM 7094 and CDC 3600, IBM 360 and PDP-8, IBM PC and Macintosh, AI-based robots.